My name is Watmo Maponga, chizvara chemushurugwi kana kuti mashurugwi makorokosa tisu vanhu vacho. Anyway, nhasi ndauya nenyaya yandinayo, but ndisati ndataura pamusoro penyaya yandinayo ndanchikurudzira kuti musubscribe panew YouTube channel yedu yemashurugwi. But you are all welcome. So I come across history anangoti nhasi rega timboshare nhoroondo yemashurugwi kuti mashurugwi ndivanani. Okay, mashurugwi kana achitaura nezvemashurugwi kuti kutaura nezvesu nezvangu nevamwe vachataura mucomment section. But anyway, ndanga ndine nhoroondo shoma shoma yandaida kuti muteerere pavhidhiyo iri kuuya kuti inini I come from Shurugwi kunonzi kuTongogara kana kuti paJosiah Tongogara. Kana tichitaura nezvaJosiah Tongogara takutaura nezvehondo, takutaura nezvevakuru vakuru. Saka ndangotiwo mashurugwi maybe akambosanganawo nevhidhiyo iri zvingaitawo sekuti tidzidze zvakasiyana siyana. So ndoda kutaura pamusoro pemurume anonzi vamwe takadzidza paTongogara, vamwe vakadzidza paTongogara, but they don't know kuti Tongogara wacho ndiani. So Tongogara ainzi Josiah Magama Tongogara. Vanomuziva anozikamwa kuti akarwa hondo yerusununguko, vaimanya-manya vachizama-zama kuti zvinhu zviite zvakanaka mukati menyika ino yeZimbabwe. Saka Josiah Tongogara iye akazvarwa 1938 but akazoshayika nemakore anokwana kuita 41 at 1979 akashayikira kuMozambique. So nyaya yandauya nayo inyaya yemashurugwi, inyaya yematongogara under Chief Nema. Haungangotange ngoyaka paYouTube, unotanga nekwako, start at your own home ground. So guys, please follow, subscribe nekushare video iri. Saka ngatinzwei nhoroondo yaJosiah Tongogara nepashoma patinapo.
Oppressive system is crushed. We don't care whether, I don't even care whether I would be part of the top echelon in the room. I'm not worried, but I'm dying to see a change that, in the system. That's all. That's all.
On December 26, 1979, the airwaves of the Voice of Zimbabwe carried a message that pierced the heart of a nation on the cusp of freedom. Robert Mugabe's voice, heavy with somber tones, announced the death of Josiah Magama Tongogara, the revered commander of the Zimbabwe African National Liberation Army, the military wing of the Zimbabwe African National Union. 6 days after the Lancaster House Agreement secured Zimbabwe's path to independence, Tongogara, a towering figure likened to Che Guevara, was gone, killed in a car accident in Mozambique at the age of 41. The news struck like a thunderbolt, leaving fighters, civilians, and comrades reeling with grief and disbelief. Streets now bear his name, from Josiah Tongogara Avenue in Harare to memorials across Zimbabwe. Yet his death remains cloaked in mystery, a wound that festers in the nation's collective memory. Tongogara was no ordinary man. Born in 1938 in Shurugwi, he grew up under the weight of colonial oppression, his family laboring on a farm owned by Ian Smith's parents. His charisma, military brilliance, and unyielding commitment to Zimbabwe's liberation made him a legend. As ZANU's commander, he transformed a ragtag guerrilla force into a formidable army, embedding fighters in rural communities using Maoist tactics, earning the trust of peasants and soldiers alike. At the Lancaster House Conference in 1979, his pragmatic yet visionary presence was undeniable. Lord Carrington, the British Foreign Secretary, called him a moderating force, a man who bridged divides with his insistence on unity between ZANU and Joshua Komu's Zimbabwe African People's Union, ZAPU. Many saw him as Zimbabwe's destined first president, with Mugabe, the head of ZANU's political wing, as prime minister. But fate, or something more sinister, intervened. The official report claimed a tragic road accident. Apa Muchingiri Kashiri, a ZANU stalwart and future defense minister, was in the car with Tongogara and recounted a collision with a truck towing a trailer in Mozambique. Yet, no autopsy results or photographs were released to corroborate this. A statement from Undertaker K.J. Stokes claimed injuries consistent with a crash, but a former detective from the British South Africa Police later reported seeing 3 wounds on Tongogara's torso, suggestive of gunshots. In a 1982 documentary, pathologist Silka dismissed these claims, insisting the injuries aligned with a vehicular accident. The absence of transparency fueled suspicion. A CIA briefing on December 28, 1979, noted Tongogara's ambition and popularity as a threat to Mugabe, while the U.S. Embassy in Lusaka reported widespread disbelief in the accident narrative, with the Soviet ambassador calling it an inside job. Even Ian Smith, in his memoirs, claimed his police commissioner and special branch head were convinced Tongogara was assassinated by his own people. The lack of conclusive evidence, autopsy reports, crash site details, or independent investigations left a void filled by whispers of betrayal. The emotional weight of Tongogara's death cannot be overstated. He was the embodiment of the liberation struggle's ideals: courage, unity, and sacrifice. His vision of a united Zimbabwe, free from tribalism and factionalism, inspired thousands. For a nation poised to break the chains of colonial rule, his loss was not just personal but existential. Was this a cruel twist of fate, or did the hand of ambition, cloaked in the shadows, snuff out a light too bright for one man's vision of power? The relationship between Robert Mugabe and Josiah was a complex tapestry of camaraderie and tension, woven through years of struggle. Mugabe, a cerebral and calculating politician, emerged as ZANU's leader after a prison coup in the 1960s, while Tongogara, a charismatic warrior, commanded the loyalty of ZANU's fighters. Their roles were symbiotic yet fraught with undercurrents of rivalry. By 1979, as Zimbabwe neared independence, these tensions boiled over, particularly during the Lancaster House Conference, where their differences became starkly apparent. Tongogara's military prowess and popularity made him a giant within ZANU. Wilfred Mhanda, a former ZANLA commander, described him as the epitome of a freedom fighter, a leader who empowered junior officers and inspired recruits. His strategic position allowed him to mediate between ZANU's political leadership and its fighters, giving him unparalleled influence. He could dictate terms to both, saying, "This is what the fighters want to the politicians, and this is what the leadership wants to the soldiers." This power alarmed Mugabe, who, despite his political acumen, lacked the grassroots loyalty Tongogara commanded. Mugabe's suspicion of military commanders was well documented. He imprisoned Mhanda in 1977 for suspected disloyalty, a sign of his intolerance for challenges to his authority. At Lancaster House, Tongogara's actions deepened the rift. He openly advocated for a united patriotic front, PF, between ZANU and ZAPU, believing Joshua Komu, ZAPU's leader, should lead the coalition. This stance directly opposed Mugabe, who viewed unity as diluting ZANU's dominance. In a heated moment, Tongogara challenged Mugabe's claim that it would take 10 days to communicate the ceasefire to fighters, asserting it could be done in 4. He even suggested that politicians, including Mugabe, should join the battlefield if talks failed, a public humiliation that left Mugabe apoplectic with rage, according to Arthur Mutambra's account. Tongogara's boldest affront was proposing Komu as Zimbabwe's first prime minister, a suggestion he shared with ZANU and ZAPU colleagues, including Dumiso Debengwa. Debengwa later confirmed in a 2018 interview that Tongogara saw Mugabe's leadership as a potential disaster, a sentiment that struck at the heart of Mugabe's ambitions. Mugabe's reaction was not overt confrontation but a calculated aloofness. He entrusted ZANLA's operations to Tongogara, keeping himself distant from military matters, which allowed him to consolidate political control. Yet, Tongogara's popularity and his push for unity threatened Mugabe's vision of ZANU supremacy. The late ZAPU leader Dumiso Debengwa claimed in 2018 that Tongogara was killed by Mugabe's allies for his opposition, a view echoed by some within ZANU's ranks. The souring of their relationship was not just personal but ideological. Tongogara's Marxist leanings and belief in a unified Zimbabwe clashed with Mugabe's desire for unchallenged power. This tension set the stage for speculation that Mugabe, or his loyalists, saw Tongogara as a dangerous rival who needed to be eliminated. Josiah Tongogara was not just a military commander. He was a symbol of what Zimbabwe could have been. His vision, charisma, and influence made him the only figure capable of challenging Mugabe's path to ZANU's leadership and, ultimately, Zimbabwe's presidency. His death, whether accidental or orchestrated, removed the final obstacle to Mugabe's consolidation of power, leaving a legacy of questions that haunt Zimbabwe to this day. Tongogara's influence stemmed from his command of Zanla, which, by 1979, was the backbone of ZANU's struggle. Unlike Mugabe, who relied on political maneuvering, Tongogara had the loyalty of thousands of fighters and rural communities. His close ties with Mozambique's President Samora Machel, forged through shared military training in China, gave him external support that Mugabe lacked. Machel's distrust of Mugabe, contrasted with his admiration for Tongogara, amplified the latter's stature. Tongogara's belief that Zanla should guide ZANU's political wing, inspired by Frelimo's model in Mozambique, directly challenged Mugabe's authority. This dynamic made Tongogara a potential rival for leadership, especially as many expected him to become Zimbabwe's first president. Investigations into his death, though inconclusive, point to motives for Mugabe's involvement. The CIA's 1979 briefing highlighted Tongogara's ambition and popularity as a threat to Mugabe's newfound power. Ian Smith's memoirs and the U.S. Embassy's reports in Lusaka suggested assassination, with no one accepting the accident narrative at face value. The detective's claim of gunshot wounds, though disputed by the pathologist, added fuel to the conspiracy. Mugabe's subsequent actions, pulling ZANU out of the Patriotic Front to contest the 1980 elections alone, against Tongogara's wishes, suggest he seized the opportunity to eliminate ZAPU's influence and cement his dominance. The Gukurahundi massacres, orchestrated by Mugabe's government in the 1980s to crush ZAPU's support base, further indicate a pattern of eliminating opposition, raising questions about whether Tongogara's death was an early step in this strategy. His vision of a united Zimbabwe, free from factionalism, was anathema to Mugabe's pursuit of absolute control. His death ensured that Mugabe faced no rival within ZANU, allowing him to steer the party and the nation toward his own ends. The emotional toll of this loss lingers in Zimbabwe's psyche, a nation robbed of a leader who dreamed of unity and justice, replaced by a regime marked by division and repression. While no definitive evidence ties Mugabe directly to his death, the circumstances, their fractured relationship, and Tongogara's status as the sole obstacle to Mugabe's ascendancy fuel a narrative of betrayal. As Zimbabweans walk past streets named for Tongogara, they are reminded of a hero whose light was extinguished too soon, leaving a question that may never be answered. Did Mugabe, in his quest for power, silence the one man who could have changed Zimbabwe's destiny?